Welcome into A to Z Sports Prime Time on this Sunday evening. Hope everybody's having a great night. Happy to have you in for another post-game edition of the Primetime Show. Titans getting a win in week 2, win number 1 on the season, as a matter of fact. And doing so in dramatic fashion, doing so in overtime, doing so over a conference opponent, a pretty big opportunity that they were able to capitalize, and it looked like that might be in doubt. So we'll certainly break down the first win of the season at the home opener at Nissan Stadium. It was good to see a raucous crowd out there hanging out in downtown Nashville. We'll talk about wonky week 2 results around the NFL as we keep tabs of the Patriots and the Dolphins on Sunday Night Football at the 2-minute warning. And we will get to This Is a Free Site, the best thing that I saw on the internet this weekend. Got a lot of things to talk about and looking forward to getting you guys involved on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. But if you want to get more involved, you could always share this show. If you're hanging out on Twitter, please retweet the show, bottom right-hand corner of your screen. Shrike says, look at you not in a stadium echoing. Well, yeah, last week was last week was an anomaly. We've done those shows for 4 seasons now. So you'll forgive me if one didn't sound exactly up to caliber, although I do apologize for the technical difficulties that we had. They don't matter because it's week 2 and I'm back in studio. We are happy to have you guys share the show around on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. Facebook, share not a public, bottom left-hand corner of your screen. If you are on YouTube or on Twitch, like the video, subscribe to the channel. We would be grateful for you that way. We always appreciate you guys sharing the show around. Savage Servant, who was in here last week telling me how wrong I was about Aaron Rodgers' Achilles and is made to look like a fool, and here loud wrong commenting again, says Buck was super looking forward to an 0-2 start with chaos. Sorry, Buck, it will be 2-1 soon. Well, no, best case scenario for me was a win today, because if you guys lost a second game, then you would just check out. And I don't want apathy, although I could get plenty of juice out of the Vols loss, because if one team in Tennessee isn't disappointing, it always seems to be another. So we'll have time for the University of Tennessee later on in the week. I'm certain either way, we've got some prime time business to attend to. Welcome into A to Z Sports Prime Time from the Zen Sports Studios. I'm your host, Buck Rising, and I am proud, as always, to be presented to you by Zen Sports. Plug in the promo code ATOZTN. That's ATOZTN in the Zen Sports app and get unlimited 5% cash back for your first 15 days of betting. Zen Sports is where you go. The law offices of Amanda J. Gentry, wherever justice demands, AmandaJGentry.com. will make sure your constitutional rights are protected. Check out the best in the business who is passionate about serving you, AmandaJGentry.com. And TrueMath Fitness in the Gulch. Get your first workout free as a Middle Tennessee resident. TrueMath Fitness is always there to get you in and improve your physical fitness. A new way to work out for the new version of you. Go to TrueMathFitness.com for your first workout free. So we have a lot of different things to talk about. MC Wren says the stadium had a ton of empty seats. Who gives a shit about a bunch of empty seats? Yeah, it wasn't a sellout crowd like the Superdome in New Orleans. It was a pretty damn good crowd, a pretty good atmosphere, and the crowd stayed in it really, really well. So that one of the first comments that I would see in here, and maybe it's just because that one caught my attention as I went to look over at the comment section, I think that's probably one of the stupidest takeaways that you could have from that football game. It's ignoring of the impact of the game. It's ignoring of the consequences and the way that we were able to rebound. Nobody in here is calling for Ryan Tannehill's job, as they were basically for the last 7 days. I think that is super short-sighted, because the stadium was rocking. And it's not an open air press box. We're in a little bit of a sanitized environment in the press box, because it's, we could open a window, I guess, if we wanted to, but I don't really want to, because it's hot as shit outside and I don't want to sweat in my suit. But there was there's empties in the 300s. There's always empties in the 300s, but it was loud as hell. Jarrell Casey got people going in the fourth quarter. Overtime, the defense was kicking. It was a good atmosphere for week 1. And I didn't really know what to expect. Given the week 2, the week 1 performance, but the idea that somebody would come in here talking about empty stadium seats, either you didn't watch the game, you've got nothing else interesting to say, would be my primary takeaway from that. But 27-24 overtime, Titans scoring more points than I have in quite some time and snapping an game regular season losing streak. We are 10 months to the day removed from the last Titans win. November 17th was 10 months ago. And now the Titans finally back in the win column for a regular season win. Of course, they won a preseason game, but nobody cares. And the way that they went about doing it was, I think a little more dramatic. Chargers and Titans always seem to play kind of drama-induced games. But certainly this overtime chance that the Titans got, they were staying in it fairly well. Defense keeping them in it fairly well. And as Mike Vrabel said earlier in the afternoon when we spoke to him at the podium, they were kind of leaking oil until that Traylon Burks 70-yard completion down the field sparked some life into them as an offense. They started to get chunk plays. They started to get Derrick Henry involved. The usage of Henry and Spears worked out exactly the way they probably wanted it to. It wasn't overkill on Derrick, but Spears was clearly a part of the game plan, as is going to be the case. It's no longer a one-man punch. This is a 1-2 punch, and that's exactly the way that it should be. But it all ultimately came to pass because the defense, who I thought was pretty good on the day, really good on the day, as a matter of fact, did an excellent job, and I'll pull up my handy-dandy stat sheet here, did an excellent job on the day of keeping the Chargers off balance, in particular on third downs, and making Justin Herbert uncomfortable on a regular basis, even if they weren't getting the sacks the way that they were on Derek Carr, even if they weren't really getting the pressures. Arden Key was noticeably absent from the stat sheet after having 11 pressures alone in New Orleans in week 1. Titans defense kept the Chargers to 2 of 14. That's 14.3% on third down. They were 3 of 3 on fourth, but again, the fourth down opportunities were far more limited than the third down opportunities that LA had, and the Titans did well to stave them off. Consequently, the offense was also much improved, up from 2 of 12 last week on third down, 6 of 13, 46.2%. Obviously, we talked about the scoring output. We talked about the red zone opportunities that they were able to capitalize. And Ryan Tannehill, of course. Ryan Tannehill is probably, as we go through the weeks, Ryan Tannehill is always going to be a talking point. It's always polarizing. And like I said, from all of you who wanted, or not all of you, but the vast majority of you who came in here screaming to high hell, rightfully so, about the quarterback who threw 3 interceptions and lost the first game and looked out of sorts and wasn't seeing things well. And, who I thought for the first time in my life, I came away from a game thinking, oh, is he getting old? Didn't have a problem today. Looked pretty sound. And in fact, had the deepest, I'll pull up the stat from John Glennon, who got this courtesy of Next Gen Stats. It was the furthest traveling pass, 62.2 yards in the air per Next Gen Stats, was that Tannehill Burks bomb, the longest pass of the season's first 2 weeks so far. So Ryan Tannehill has the biggest air yards, how shall I phrase this? The throw with the most yards in the air of any quarterback through the first 2 weeks of the NFL season. So not even cooked, or not quite cooked, not even a little toasted, it would seem. 4 incompletions, 20 of 24, 246. Was sacked 5 times for a loss of 46 yards. So that total would have looked a lot better had the offensive line performed better. And by the way, Tannehill did take a bad sack late in the game that lost 13 yards, backed them up, and they had to punt from like their own 9. But yeah, had the 1 touchdown to NWI, a deep ball to Moore, a deep ball to Burks, and was finding guys with regularity. He was settled in, and it took him some time, and the Chargers were attacking. Chargers were getting after his ass for sure. But the Two Rivers Ford Take, the place that we want to start here on this Sunday night, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch, as we get you ready or get you through halftime of the Patriots and the Dolphins. What was the most encouraging thing you saw in the Titans' first win? It's your Two Rivers Ford Take. As always, it is presented by the wonderful people at Two Rivers Ford. Go to Two Rivers Ford, quality American-made Ford vehicles, award-winning customer service. They are there to help you, as they have helped Middle Tennesseans for the last 40 years. Two Rivers Ford in Mount Juliet, or online at tworiversford.com. So what was the most encouraging thing that you saw? Chris Frazier says Tanneville, not Tannehill, but Tanneville. Balling. Anthony Clay liked the scoring output. John Moreland said the balance on offense. It's interesting. how balanced exactly were they on offense? So 24 total passing attempts. They ran the ball a total of 21 times. So, yeah, fairly balanced. Excuse me. No, they ran the ball 34 times. And, it played into their hands. Derrick had 25 attempts. They were playing ball control late. That's Derrick Henry's game. And Derrick Henry is always going to have more opportunities when you have a situation like played out today. Spears, 8 of 49. Tannehill had the 112-yard scramble, which, of course, accounted for a rushing touchdown as well. So 34 for 141, 4.1 yards on the ground per carry, and then 246 in the air. 20 of 24 was Ryan Tannehill. So a pretty balanced performance. A little more pass-heavy last week. They were chasing. They had to. Sometimes the game is going to play out that way. Today, it played to their advantage and, to the skill set that we know allows them to have success. James Henderson says deep ball has been missing. Well, no. I mean, well, yes, you're correct. I don't want to dismiss that, but what's the deep ball is something that Ryan Tannehill doesn't necessarily have problems with. It's not like a lack of arm strength. The question was, all right, is he fundamentally like under duress to a point where his mechanics are going to break down? That was the question coming out of the Saints game and what we were looking for heading into this game. And sometimes there was enough pressure that caused him problems. And, he did take, he probably, of 5 sacks, he was probably responsible for 2 more than was the offensive line. But the opportunities were there against the Saints. He was just missing. And, today he wasn't missing. And that's a good sign for you. You obviously saw the results of that. Herbert was certainly threatening. Neither team had a turnover. And that was probably one of the biggest things that I saw, or probably one of the biggest takeaways that I had. The thing that probably gives you the most optimism. They played it wasn't mistake-free. They're never going to play no football team is going to play a perfect game. But they played if not a mistake-free game, they played a turnover-free game. Now, they didn't turn the Chargers over either, which is something I talked to Kevin Byard in the locker room about last night. You can hear from KB here in just a second, right after I remind you that the Primetime Show is presented by TrueMath Fitness in the Gulch. Go to TrueMathFitness.com. Your first workout is free. As a Middle Tennessee resident, nobody is going to put you in better position to succeed with your physical fitness than TrueMath Fitness in the Gulch. Conveniently located in downtown Nashville. Like I said, your first workout is free. No workout ever recycled or repeated. I love the group classes. Personal training is something that I take advantage of more now that the football season schedule is upon us. Tuesdays and Thursdays are the day that work best for me. TrueMathFitness.com is where you go for the best workout in Middle Tennessee and for your first workout free. TrueMathFitness.com. So as you look at the defensive performance, clutch plays late, 3 straight incompletions on the Chargers drive, right? They got the ball in overtime, or they won the toss, took the ball in overtime, weren't able to capitalize, which meant first team to score 1, allowed Nick Folk to set up for the 41-yard field goal. Nick Folk, by the way, 7 for 7 to start his Titans career. This is the first time, I think, in the last 3 seasons that the Titans have not missed an extra point or a field goal in the first 2 weeks of the season. It's been some time, and they have consistency at kicker. And, as the rain started to come down, I'm sure a lot of you guys got PTSD a little bit, or just bad feelings, right? What could possibly happen? Oh, my God, the rain has held off for the majority of game, and now is the time that the skies choose to open up and potentially threaten an opportunity for the football team to win at home. But they were able to capitalize on that. Defense made important plays, even if they didn't get the turnovers. And that was something that we talked to Kevin Byard about earlier in the locker room this afternoon.
Yeah, just mean fighting through adversity. The game wasn't perfect at all, especially on the back end. Had some miscommunications and things like that, but that's the thing about this pro football sport, man. You got to keep fighting, keep lining up, and we was getting stops. I mean, obviously we wanted to get them a little earlier, but I think as a defense we fought hard, we battled hard, and it's always good to get a win. You can correct all the other stuff, in this week, but it feels good to get a win, especially overtime.
On that overtime series, I mean, Herbert had plenty of time to throw a couple plays in a row, but just didn't look like they had anything.
Exactly.
Kind of blanket things down.
No, I mean, I think guys played really good coverage. I mean, I think if you look at it, he really didn't know where to go with the ball, so he kind of just airmailed it a little bit. Sean made a very instinctual play beforehand. Probably could have had a pick, but, he knocked it down. But it was big, man. Our offense started to roll in the second half, and the biggest thing was just keep giving the ball back, So, like I said, it's an impressive team win.
How thin is the margin for error for you guys when there's not a turnover on either side?
Yeah, it's almost like whichever team is going to break, that's the team that's going to win. We obviously want to create more turnovers. That's a big thing for us. Mike had one go through his hands, probably could have picked the ball off. But as a defense, we have to create more turnovers, try to create some separation. We don't always want to be in these one-score overtime games, going forward.
Kevin Byard probably doesn't want to play more overtime, doesn't want to play one-score games, as he said. They want to be able to secure these wins and kind of ride it out. But I think that, they are equipped to handle these situations. Little one in the comment section on YouTube says, did Henry make history with his touchdown 1,000 for the Titans at home? Yes, Derek. Well, that is history. Derrick Henry goes down scoring the 1,000th Titans touchdown. Today was the 500th Titans game in the Titans era, right? Houston Oilers and Tennessee Titans history. Goes back to 1960, but today in the 25 years of Titans football was their 500th game. Derrick Henry scored the 1,000th touchdown in the Titans era in their 500th game. So a little bit of history. Demetrius says, who was that yelling in the background? That was Arden. Arden Key was yelling in the background, screaming that Ryan Tannehill was available at the podium, doing the PR staff's job for them, it would seem. And I still almost missed Ryan Tannehill's press conference because I didn't hear Arden Key. I was focused on the questions that I was asking and trying to make sure that I got my question in over whomever was trying to talk over me at the time. The locker room is a hectic place, and that's without the music, especially a post-game locker room after a win. Losses, a little more subdued, but a win tonight for the Titans, 27-24 in overtime. You're hanging out here with us on A to Z Sports from the Zen Sports Studios. The show is presented on this Sunday evening by the law offices of Amanda J. Gentry. Wherever justice demands, Amanda J. has you covered. Go to amandajgentry.com. Your constitutional rights is what she seeks to protect. They have practiced law in Tennessee family and criminal courts in 35 counties across the state of Tennessee. amandajgentry.com, wherever justice demands. So things that you felt were positive coming out of this game, things that you felt were the most encouraging coming out of this game. I feel like I'm going to sneeze here in the middle of the primetime show. This doesn't happen very often, but the lights are right in my face, and I'm trying to hold it back. We'll see if we can't survive the tide. But if Bird is telling me to just let it out and get it over with, but anytime you put pressure on somebody like that to sneeze, the sneeze is impossible, and it just sits there at the end of your nose and burns you like the worst. But it seems like we've survived through it. John Torkington is blessing me prematurely. I haven't sneezed yet. Hold your blessings. We'll see if we can't survive through the primetime show for at least 10 more minutes. But I think there's a lot of positives to take away. And again, if you listen to Greg Cosell last week talk about the offense, and a lot of you, were sending me messages like, oh, is Greg Cosell on Ryan Tannehill's payroll? How can anybody excuse Ryan Tannehill? When in reality, it's not excuses, it's analysis. And I think there is because of how emotional people get about the quarterback, and I understand. You get emotional about your favorite sports teams. There's nothing wrong with it. But when you heard Greg talk about the offense, and honestly, when you watched the offense last week, like my takeaway wasn't, oh, God, this offense is terrible. It's like, oh, Ryan Tannehill has missed some really, really big opportunities in this brand new Titans offense. And the Titans offense, seems to be functional as long as the quarterback doesn't go a bit brain dead as he did in the first game. Now, I think that the play calling continues to be a positive, and that was probably my biggest positive takeaway today, is that the offense continues to show promise. The offense continues to show creativity. The offense continues to create explosive plays down the field. Jesse Hernandez says, why isn't Tannehill not rolling out more? Why isn't Tannehill not rolling out more? The rare double negative in the middle of that. Jesse, I don't know. I'm not the offensive coordinator, and we don't get to talk to them until Thursdays every week. So it doesn't really matter this evening. Why isn't Tannehill rolling out more? I don't know. It doesn't matter. He had 4 incompletions. He had a touchdown rushing and a touchdown passing, and your team won a game in overtime. What do you care about Ryan Tannehill rolling out more? Now, if you're talking about moving the pocket, play action was evident today. It doesn't have to be a rollout to be play action. They can do the quick play action. He hits his back foot, quick fake, the thing that they've been running basically since since Mike Vrabel's been coaching here, right? The rolling out more. You're asking questions that don't necessarily seem to have relevance to today's result. Now, I think, could you move the pocket? Could you try and mitigate some of the deficiencies that the offensive line has? Yeah, we talked about that in the pregame show with Blaine Bishop today, and that was something that we discussed. Jay Street says he's holding the ball too long. He's taking unnecessary sacks. Well, no, he took 2 sacks today that were unnecessary. The 3 that he got absolutely walloped on were the offensive line's fault. Again, I don't dispute that on the 2 sacks, he was holding the ball, but one of the best things about Ryan Tannehill is, like today, when he's getting absolutely decked on the Traylon Burks play, on the Chris Moore play, on the touchdown that went to NWI, you want the quarterback to stand in there and deliver. Occasionally, that style of play does invite more sacks. It is one of the best qualities. It can also work to their disadvantage depending on the situation. And their offensive line in the last couple of years hasn't been good enough to mitigate some of those situations. But it's like trying to get Patrick Mahomes to not kind of drift when he's passing. A lot of the movement that Patrick Mahomes has when he's back there to pass isn't necessary, but it's one of the things that makes Patrick Mahomes Patrick Mahomes. So you want to coach it to an extent, but not try and coach it out of him. Ryan Tannehill's a finished product, 12 years in the NFL. There are moments when he has to know to throw the ball away, like today. The blown screenplay was a disaster. I'm not going to dispute that. A 13-yard loss that sets you back up to punt from, I believe, your 9, where the blocking was already suspect. They got one blocked last week. God forbid, if you're a Titan special teams coach or the punter or whatever or if you're a Titans fan, that gets blocked today. I think that there's a lot of this stuff that has to have nuance attached to it. Now, if you want to operate in blanket statements, mixologist says you aren't right about everything. Some shit you get wrong. Eat it. You're absolutely right. That's so. But I'm willing to acknowledge when those areas exist, and that's completely fair. And 2, I don't think that when we talk about these things that I don't at least come into these discussions armed with some kind of knowledge from the locker room or talking to analysts or talking to other coaches that can better improve my context, right? I thought Ryan Tannehill threw terrible interceptions last week. Greg Cosell talked me off the ledge and helped me understand exactly what I was looking at in the interceptions. Doesn't make the interceptions better, doesn't make the interceptions worse, gives me better context for the interception. So yeah, of course this stuff happens, and none of us know, right? There's a degree of speculating when we're not in every meeting room, when, the best that I can do is go to practice, go to games, be in the locker room, be in post game, and try and give you guys as much context as humanly possible. But you're right. We can't know everything because, one, that would be a disaster for the coaching staff, because how would that, they wouldn't be able to function if everything that they were doing was out there and able to be discussed with, specificity. That's why Mike Vrabel hides everything like it's a state secret, including the backup quarterback. But yeah, you can't know everything about a football team without being in every meeting. And even then, there's a million different things happening in a football throughout the course of a week on a football team. Jacob Ray says Bucks, unless you have the script, of course, which, I do. This is literally a script of everything that happened in the game. You want a script? I got it right here. Every week I get a script. But either way, they were struggling early on. Mike Vrabel talked about them leaking oil until the Traylon Burks incompletion. But, didn't think that was a Tannehill issue. Didn't think that was a play calling issue. Thought that was an offensive line issue more than anything. And I think that, while if you're somebody who's butthurt about Ryan Tannehill performing, exceeding expectations or performing well enough to keep his job, and somebody who's tired of him, you want him out of the lineup, or all these things. Listen, nobody's going to change your opinion. If that's your opinion, you're entitled to your opinion, unless it's a really, really stupid opinion, because there are some really, really stupid opinions, and sometimes not everybody's entitled to their opinion, because some opinions are dumb. Either way, we proceed on A to Z Sports Primetime. Trippin' Titan says, "Wait, Buck doesn't know everything. My life is now in shambles." I know it's probably the biggest upset of the night. Not even the Titans upsetting the Chargers as home dogs by 2.5, I believe. Chargers were favored by coming in to tonight. Yes, biggest upset of the evening. We continue, though, here on A to Z Sports Prime Time. What was the most surprising result of week 2? We will discuss at length together on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and on Twitch. We will talk about it right after I remind you that Prime Time is made possible by Zen Sports. Speaking of the script, stick to the script. Go with the Sportsbook app that is the best for you. Unlimited 5% cash back for your first 15 days of wagering in the Zen Sports app when you plug in that promo code ATOZTN. You see it behind me there. You see it in front of me there. Zen Sports app is where you can put that in, get that unlimited 5% cash back, and cash in the way that you can in no other sportsbook app. Promo code ATOZTN. Gambling problem, call the Tennessee Red Line, 1-800-889-9789. Terms and conditions do apply. Must be 21 or older to bet in Tennessee. Zen Sports is where you go. So of all the different results across the NFL weekend, Matt Bailey says Bill Cowher picked us. Who cares who picked who? Nobody knows anything in these pregame. It's just a segment that they can sponsor. I'm sure the morning show does it, or the pregame show does it with who was it today? I think it was Austin and Jack. Because Sam was at the stadium with me, and I don't think that Zach is doing the pregame show this year. Anyway, Austin and whomever was doing the pregame show this morning, I'm sure there was a pick segment where they pick Titans or Chargers, or they pick certain things. Nobody knows anything in these pick segments. It's just something that you do so you can slap a sponsor on it, make money on your pregame show, and keep it moving. Doesn't actually mean anything. Bill Cowher picking the Titans today or somebody else picking the Chargers today isn't worth the words that come out of your mouth. But this felt like a game that might play into their hands, right? Now it can stand to be a surprise. One of the biggest surprises of the NFL weekend can be the Chargers starting down 0-2. And I think that the Chargers have so much talent that I buy in every year. Really, I do. And what we continue to come back to with the Chargers, I feel like every time we talk about one of these dreadful losses that they have, I don't think today was a dreadful loss. Like, I thought they fought through it. I thought they missed some opportunities, and ultimately the Titans were able to capitalize on more. But Brandon Staley, you talk about people under pressure. We talk about Ryan Tannehill being under pressure. Not really. Brandon Staley actually is to maintain his job. He's coaching for his professional future right now, working with one of the most talented teams in football, and the defense not really looking that good. So 0-2 Chargers is a pretty surprising situation through the first 2 weeks. Bradley Wolf, speaking of 0-2 teams, says a surprise to me is the Bengals losing again today to Roberto Walsh's Baltimore Ravens. Yes, indeed. Burrow, looked better than he did in week 1, more than 82 yards passing in the first game of the season against the Cleveland Browns, but still a Bengals loss. We know the statistics, or we know the percentages around teams that start the season 0-2. It is incredibly difficult for them to make the postseason. When you come down to that, Ricky W. says Buck is such a loser. He still doesn't understand making a prediction is your own way of evaluating the two teams. No, it's not. It's saying, who do you like on Sunday? The Titans or the Chargers? And you're saying the Titans because, the Titans have Mike Vrabel, or the Chargers because they have Brandon Staley. None of that shit matters because you're playing overtime. Weird stuff happens, and all of a sudden, everything that you know about the two football teams that you thought you knew doesn't matter at all, and it's just a bunch of word salad that you're saying pregame, and none of it matters afterwards. Nobody's held accountable for their picks afterwards. It's not a means of evaluating team. It's just something that people do because it's fun and it's lazy. I think that when you look at all the results around the league, the Bucks starting 2-0 is crazy to me. I think the Chargers and Bengals 0-2 is pretty surprising. And kind of looking through the results around the league, because obviously I coming home today, having the opportunity to watch more football than I would if we were on the road. For example, Josh Allen coming back and whooping a mess out of the Las Vegas Raiders at home. Talking about quarterbacks who had disastrous week 1s. Ryan Tannehill rebounded nicely today. Josh Allen rebounded nicely today. But I'll go with Arthur Smith and the Atlanta Falcons. 25-24 over the Green Bay Packers today. Desmond Ridder being efficient. It was a very Tannehillian-like performance with Desmond Ridder today with Arthur Smith as the coach. And certainly Art getting the Falcons off to a 2-0 start in a division that's eminently winnable has them trending in the right direction.
Somebody might almost be the primary, and you work through it with a look. Something happens sometimes. Guy may bail out. Especially some of the play action. Sometimes guys may bail out and get in the vision. Again, you don't know what the quarterback sees. We think we do when you have the TV look and it slows down, but we got a lot of weapons. And John is somebody that's made plays in big time games, and he's been good. The tight end room, those guys love each other. I mean, Mike Cole Pruitt is an underrated leader on our football team. Kyle and John, so if you're going to take him away, that play in particular, it was Bijan and Kyle the primary, but they gave us a look, and then it goes back to John and Drake. That's football, and so when you got a lot of belief, okay, pick your poison. And John is one of those guys. He's a great catch and run player. He got a big yardage on the screenplay, and some of the stuff he got on the flag. He's hard to tackle. Glad he's here.
So the Atlanta Titans Falcons mashup, right? It's Arthur Smith talking about Jonnu Smith, which is something that I've been in part of press conferences previously. It's kind of weird. It's a little uncanny to see Arthur Smith in a different team's uniform, even though he's been the Falcons coach. I think this is his third season as the Falcons coach, and Jonnu Smith's been down there for a year now. It's just kind of weird to see Arthur Smith, former Titans OC, talking about Jonnu Smith, former Titans tight end, and Michael Pruitt in the mix, former Titans tight end, and all the other Titans that ended up down in Atlanta with Arthur Smith. But either way, the Falcons starting off the season 2-0, really good start for Art. Arthur is somebody who I think is going to end up being successful in this league. You talk about things that don't mean anything, like my intuition that Arthur Smith, it's almost like making picks. My intuition that Arthur Smith is going to do well with the Falcons doesn't mean anything, but it does seem like it's trending in the right direction. And to their credit, they're finding it's kind of interesting to watch the dynamic. Talk about Tannehill as we want to get you back in time for the second half. Miami up 17-3 on the Patriots as the Dolphins run their first offensive play of the third quarter. Looks like it's going to lose yards. Jalen Waddle getting the ball in the backfield. I think that Desmond Ridder is not the guy. It's not his offense. It's not his football team. But Desmond Ridder, I think, operates that function really, really well and is getting the kind of efficiency that it's like Brock Purdy, right? Arthur Smith knows that Desmond Ridder is going to do what they ask him to, and Kyle Shanahan knows that Brock Purdy is going to do what they ask him to. And sometimes that's more important to a coach than overwhelming talent, right? Just the ability to trust. Billy Jones says Arthur Smith needs a better QB. He's 2-0. Whether Art can win with a talented enough roster and a less than QB, that's incumbent upon the coaching and the system. But we'll see what happens with Atlanta. And, of course, the Titans will get another AFC opponent on the other side of the bracket. Another AFC opponent in Cleveland coming up a week from today. And, of course, I'll be in Cleveland. We'll do the game from, I think it's First Energy Stadium in Cleveland next week, and that will be a great time had by all. All right. This is a free site. The question that I want to ask you tonight so we can get you back in time to watch the rest of the second half is this. Have you ever been involved in a fight at a sporting event? Let me know in the comment section on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. Anytime there's football, there's going to be fights in the stands. It's one of the top tried and true situations that come out of any sporting event. Anytime fans are imbibing, anytime people are tailgating, anytime you're out in the elements and emotions are running high, every once in a while somebody swings on somebody else. So we'll talk about it together. Have you ever been involved in a fight at a sporting event? Right after I remind you that the Primetime Show is made possible by the great people at the Ashton Real Estate Group of RE/MAX Advantage. Go to GaryAshton.com. Get your dream address without the stress. The intel edge you need to succeed can be found with the official real estate agent of the Nashville Predators. That's GaryAshton.com. Maserati Mac has been involved in a fight at a local soccer match, like a Nashville SC game. That's interesting. For Aubrey Calvin, he has not been in a fight at a sporting event. MB, no. Does putt-putt golf count? Yes, if you fought somebody at a putt-putt course, one, I would like you to produce video evidence. Two, I would like more background, probably at a later date. But we saw a couple. I saw one at the Texans-Colts game. Colts beating the Texans. Texans down 0-2 to start the season. Anthony Richardson looks like he's going to miss some time with a concussion. Gardner Minshew had to come in and finish that game today. But this, it's not even a fight. It's just some dude absolutely getting his shit rocked at the Bengals. The Bengals, it looks like the Bengals-Browns game. from a week ago, actually, because the Bengals, of course, played the Ravens today, and this looks like it was outside of Cleveland Stadium. So that is a dude being handcuffed in Bengals striped overalls. Maybe he's headbutting another Bengals fan. I thought at first it was Browns colored, fan gear, but I think there might have been some Bengals friendly fire here. This dude who gets headbutted by the other dude who's in handcuffs gets absolutely decked. I assume he's talking shit to the dude in handcuffs. He's like, oh, this guy's not going to get me. All of a sudden he gets a forehead straight to the dome.
With the
straight cold cocked. Again, I don't know if that was friendly fire. The more that we watch that video, there's a longer video out there that is a little bit more compelling, where the guy is the dude in handcuffs is literally getting choked physically away from the dude who he's just not RKO, that's not the right terminology, but he's just knocked unconscious. Again, one more time, just to hear the crack of the foreheads making contact, it officially means that football, even outside the field, is back in our lives.
with the
that is not going to feel good for anybody involved, but at least the dude who's in handcuffs is probably lit the hell up, so he's not going to feel it for probably another 24 hours. Mike Peck says, I'm trying to see Buck fight one of these commenters he disagrees with. Why? I don't have to. I'm sitting here comfortably. I'm the dude talking shit to the other dude in the handcuffs. The only difference is you can't headbutt me through the screen, try as you might. Although you should probably try it. If you're pissed at me, you should probably try and headbutt your phone or your laptop and then send us videos afterwards and see if you can't make a little contact. See if that doesn't satisfy any angst that you might have anytime you disagree with me. You guys are the best. Always fun to hang out with your post game. We'll be back at it, obviously, throughout the course of the week. Radio show, 3 hours of reaction tomorrow. We'll be breaking down the Titans and Chargers game throughout the course of the day. We'll also be talking about the Vols, that just hideous product that they put out in the swamp on Saturday night. Very disappointing to see. But for Titans fans, they get a win. Vols fans have to lick their wounds and try and circle back. Wesley James Sanquist says, why is this even a topic? Because football is funny, but also football fans beating the shit out of each other in the stands is funny. And I like to laugh from time to time. That's why it's a topic. I don't think we need another explanation than that. Have a great rest of your evening. Perhaps you can bench another quarterback tomorrow, but not tonight, because the Titans have won in overtime 27-24. See you guys.
Are you surprised to hear that?
Certainly not. The first year we took it to the limit. And I was in Miami with my new beach house. Well, it was a couple minutes from the beach.
It's been 20 years since then. We haven't been too strong in the last few years.
Oh, we've been strong. We're just playing by the rules. You can't have a newcomer come in and steal a show.